And welcome to Fabulous Moms TV. Today we have with us Malynda Madzel, and she was the owner of Custom Telemarketing Services here in Howard County. Today, Malynda is going to talk with us about her company and her business, and also her volunteer work and her mentoring of young women here in Howard County. I also wanted to let you know out there that Malynda is also my mentor and my dear friend. So, Malynda, thank you for joining us. You have been dedicating a lot of your energy to volunteering, and you owned a business called Custom Telemarketing Services. Tell us a little bit about your business.
Okay, I started Custom Telemarketing Services because when my youngest child went to school, I needed something to do. And I, like a lot of moms, a lot of your audience, I wanted to do something that was working around my children's schedule and something that would be fulfilling to me as well as be monetarily successful. And one of the things that I had been doing as a volunteer while my kids were still, while I was still at home with my kids, was to do some telephone solicitation for nonprofits and charities and so forth. And I realized that I had a good skill and a good knack for talking on the phone. And my husband said, well, since you're always on the phone anyway, why don't we see if we can make a business out of it? And I did. I started in the basement of my home. In fact, it was 24 years ago last week.
Wow.
July 11th, I'll never forget. And I started there, and within a year I was out of the house. I had several employees, and at our peak we had close to 40 people on our payroll, and it was a very, very good business. We got involved in the internet fairly early on. We secured the domain name telemarketing.com, which was wonderful.
Wow.
Yes. And my husband, and I kept saying to my husband, oh, I don't want to be bothered with this internet stuff. It's not going anywhere, blah, blah, blah. And he said, in almost 40 years, that's the only argument he ever won with me. So, and that was
worth it, right?
Yeah, and about a little over 6 years ago, we decided that it was time for us to move on to the next phase of our lives. And we found a buyer from New Jersey who bought this company from us, and since then I've been doing marketing consulting, which is wonderful because I can kind of work my own hours and do what I want to do, and I have just found some great people to work with. And my husband has written 3 books. Now he's writing his 3rd book. I have to keep him out of my hair somehow. So I encourage his writing. But and that's what we're doing now, and enjoying the fruits of our labors, traveling, enjoying our grandchildren, and so forth. But I still, as I said, stay involved in working, number one, because I have as I tell everybody, I have a substance abuse issue.
Okay.
I'm addicted to shopping. So in order to feed my habit, I have to do the other semi, and that's continue working. So,
Absolutely.
But I have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And a good time.
Good. And a lot of women have that addiction.
Yes.
Sometimes we need that shopping therapy. And it helps. It helps. Because I know that you do this mentor and you volunteer, which is also awesome. Because you have your family, you have your grandkids that you spend time with, but you also do this volunteer and you mentor, and that's sort of a feel good for anyone that's doing that kind of work.
Well, it's a feel good, but it's also a responsibility that I have. I have really lived, I must say, a charmed life. I had wonderful parents. I had a great growing up. We weren't wealthy, but we had all the things that we needed and most of the things that I wanted, and I was given the benefit of a very good education. And then I've been married to my husband. We've been going on 39 years.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you. In September, and as I tell everybody, I've never once considered divorce. Murder often, but never divorce. And so we've had a wonderful marriage, and we have 2 phenomenal children. And our son is an illustrator, and he illustrates books and does TV, computer illustration. Our daughter is a works for USA Fund for UNICEF, travels all over the world helping everybody. So I mean, I am so blessed, and 2 great grandchildren. So this is just, I mean, I have a charmed life. And the volunteering and trying to help other people is, yeah, it makes me feel good, but that's my responsibility. This is, service is the rent you pay for being on earth. And my daughter and I constantly argue about who said that. She said it's Mary Red Edelman, I say Shirley Chisholm, but we go back and forth. But whatever it is, it's very true. So I got involved early on. I've always done something volunteering. When I was younger, it was church, and then as I grew older, it was different things like, you know, just helping out. My parents always said, there's always somebody who has less than you, so we help those people. And that was just the way I was taught. Well, then when I started the business, I realized that one of the ways to grow my business was to get involved in activities in the community. And it started out as part of the business community. I was very heavily involved in the Chamber of Commerce, economic development, and those were activities that really were to promote my business. Then I got involved with Leadership Howard County, and I started out, I got involved because that's where all the business leaders were, as well as community leaders, and I said, okay, well, we'll get involved there. And then between the time that I started the program and the time that I finished the program 9 months later, I realized what great needs there were in this county. Because this community is so blessed with so many different things. You know, great schools, you know, it's a wonderful location. We have just, you know, it's a beautiful community, and I mean, on and on things. But unfortunately, there is an underside of the community that very few people see. And it's my responsibility, having taken advantage of all the good things that this community has to offer, to try to help find some solutions. So that's why I got involved, further and further involved in more the nonprofit activities. And I also learned about myself. I am not a real hands-on person, but what I like to do is to advocate. I like to influence and do policy that will affect the people who are more comfortable with hands-on. So that's how I got involved in more board work and committee work and that kind of thing. And I love it. That's the other part, I really love it. I call them my youngins. First of all, when I started out my business, there weren't a lot. There were some, but not a lot of women of color who were entrepreneurs, who were reaching out, who reached out to me. And I just said, you know what? It's like when your kids, you know, when they don't want to do what you tell them to do, they say, well, when I'm the mommy, I'm going to do it this way. Well, you know, and I said, you know, when I'm the mommy, when I'm at a point where I feel like I have some wisdom to impart, or when, you know, so don't do this because you will be sorry to impart. Then that's what I'm going to do. And it was one of those things where one person, in fact, it was this young woman's mother came to me and she said, my daughter wants to start her own business, and I read this article about you in the paper, and would you be willing to talk to her? And I said, sure. So that started it. Then another friend of mine whose daughter is, you know, was coming up in the community, she says, you know, Malynda, she says, I'm in education. I really don't understand about the business world. Would you be willing to talk? Sure. Then the next thing I knew, it had morphed into this group. And as I met people who were younger and I thought would be compatible, it just started to grow and just started. And now they formed their own network, and I watched them helping each other, calling on each other. Somebody says, I have this issue, can you help me? Another one says, I have this opportunity, you know, you might be interested in joining and partnering with me on it. And it goes on and on and on, and this is what's happened. And when I see this, I feel so good.